Hello everybody. So today a little bit of a different video. Today's title of the video is When Government Deletes Your Competition, because this is what's happening to the airlines sector right now. Of course, a sector I don't invest in. I'll get to why in a second. But the airlines are partying right now. Delta, United, JetBlue, they're partying because the government essentially decided to delete one of their big competitor, which is Spirit Airlines. And that's the way I put it, right? That's my opinion. Because Spirit, of course, they knew that they needed to merge. You know, airlines are very competitive, and they had agreed to a merger with JetBlue. And of course, the Justice Department, as it usually does, often does, it says, oh no, we are gonna vigorously enforce the nation's antitrust laws. And they argued that this merger should not go through because it would raise the prices on millions of consumers who depend on Spirit Airlines for travel, you know, holidays, Thanksgiving, etc. Millions, tens of millions of consumers depend on Spirit Airlines. And of course, that merger would raise the prices of these consumers. And you know, obviously, when you use these frames of analysis, you know, you don't look at the facts, which is the company's going to go bankrupt if there's no merger. And obviously, today, Spirit, boom, files for bankruptcy. So how do you help the consumer? How do you help the tens of millions of travelers who rely on cheap fares from Spirit? You help them by having them go for bankruptcy. Spirit is going for bankruptcy because the merger did not go through. And the stock, you know, this is a stock that's at $1 right now, roughly. It was trading at $70 just, I guess, 8 or 9 years back. $70 is what this stock was trading at. So again, you're just deleting companies from the S&P 500, and you're deleting competition. I'm not sure Spirit was in the S&P. Anyways, you're deleting competition. You're deleting competition from the incumbents, from the players. That's what FTC does. That's what a lot of the government does. It helps new innovative companies become natural monopolies, become all powerful. It helps them by making sure that the incumbents, making sure that the legacy players can't merge, right? They can't merge. And so I make a lot of analogies on this one. For example, RiteAid is a company that filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in 2023. RiteAid was very big in the Midwest, big in a lot of places in the US, but of course that can be largely explained with the fact that Walgreens tried to merge, acquire RiteAid, they tried to merge with it. And of course the FTC defended the consumer, saying, oh no, well, the $17 billion deal here, if it happens, it's going to raise prices. Well, you know, it didn't happen. And of course, RiteAid filed for bankruptcy. And Walgreens, I mean, just an opinion, but Walgreens is not doing well. So we'll see what happens to Walgreens. And of course, what's doing well today is online pharmacies. One I cover all the time is Hims. I could go on. I'm just going to go for another one, right? Kroger+Albertsons. You know, we know Amazon is quiet. Amazon is stealth right now in the grocery sector. But eventually, Amazon is going to double down on the grocery sector. And what's happening to Kroger, what's happening to Albertsons, they see the competition, tough competition from Walmart, tough competition from Amazon, from a lot of players in the grocery sector, from more and more deliveries, right? Digital grocery store, DoorDash, Uber Eats. You could easily imagine competitors pop up for groceries on these platforms. Kroger and Albertsons, they're trying to prepare themselves from what they see coming 10 years from now for a merger. And of course, the FTC is challenging this acquisition and saying this acquisition should not go through, thinking with this old frame of minds that, innovation, disruption is not here 10 years from now. Disruption is not going to come, and thus you're still living in a static world, and you should not allow companies to get stronger to survive. And because these entities do not allow companies to get stronger to survive, legacy cannot merge. legacy cannot get stronger and has a harder time surviving. And this is how you explain companies being deleted. You explain competition being deleted. In many ways, digital pharmacies and even Amazon with its Amazon Pharmacy, they don't have a lot of things to do in way of competition. They don't have a lot of work to do because the government is actively making sure these companies can't become stronger by merging. Of course, this is just an opinion, just my opinion. I expect a lot of legacy companies won't be able to combine to survive or to fight some of their structural inertia, some of their technical debt, human resource debt, regulation debt. They won't be able to fight that inertia that they're on to survive because of the way the government works, the regulations work, the system work, the unions work. They will have a hard time. Pharmacy is one of them. Retail, right, is another one of them. Advertising is another one of them. Television, entertainment, right? There is still enforcement at the regulator level following the old economic paradigm, the view that, monopolies are always bad. Monopolies raise prices. And when you look, of course, at the net promoter score of Amazon and how many people recommend Amazon to a friend, it's 98%, right? And Amazon is a monopoly. Our monopoly is bad when 98% of the customers say they're going to recommend to a friend to shop on Amazon, right? Our monopoly is bad when people love their iPhones and they recommend iPhones to their friends, right? It's like, this is Netflix bad, right? Is Spotify bad, right? Spotify is a monopoly. Spotify reduced the cost of music by 6 orders of magnitude. By 6 orders of magnitude, right? Think about that, right? Think about that. Music used to be a major budget of people in the 80s, people in the 90s. People used to spend 10-15% of their salaries on music. Today they spend 6 orders of magnitude less, thanks to a company like Spotify, which is obviously a monopoly. But if you follow these old economic paradigms, you're going to think monopolies are bad, right? That's what you're going to think. And this is where Peter Thiel was so good in this book, arguing in favor of monopolies. Monopolies can create a lot of good, right? Look at right now what's happening with SpaceX's Starlink. Starlink is a monopoly now, essentially, in satellite service, satellite internet. And they're highly performing. People love them. People need them. So anyways, there's a shift. There's a shift there. And the government is helping newcomers, is helping startups dominate by holding legacy back. It's holding legacy companies back, which is one of the reasons why I don't want to own the S&P 500, because it's scattered, it's littered with legacy companies that are being held back by old frames of thought, old cultures, old laws, old views, old unions that hold these companies back. I have similar examples, right? Legacy Auto. Will Legacy Auto ever be able to sell cars online? One of the main theses for Tesla is that you can buy the car online. You can't do that with a GM car. Today, you have to go to the dealership. Will GM be ever able to disrupt itself by getting rid of a dealership to take all of their margin? Probably not, right? A big debate this week was about the ports and fighting automation at the port. Ports are known to have extremely strong unions. Unions at ports around the world are requiring no automation, right? And are they going to be able to fight that? The union deal in the US with the ports, that was reported in 2025. Are they going to be able to fight that? I don't think so. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen for the ports for a second. And the answer to that is Singapore. So what is Singapore doing with a port issue? They have one very successful port with a lot of employees, with a lot of very strong, from a bargaining standpoint, very high bargaining power type of workforce. So what is Singapore doing? Well, they're building a new fully automated port miles away that should open in 2040. And when the new fully automated port miles away opens in 2040, what do you think is going to happen to the human-operated port? right? Well, customers are just going to shift and they're just going to go to the fully automated option, right? We see this, like, for example, one of the cities, I see this in Paris. Like, if you go to Paris, there's 2 fully automated subway stations. The automated subway lines will slowly replace the lines that are not automated, and you're just building new lines, and the old lines are eventually left to die, and the new lines are automated, right? This is how you do it. And of course, when you do this at the scale of a company, you have a Tesla fully automated gigafactory versus old car plants, because the union, because of the structure, because of the legacy, because of the frame of mind of local governments, of CEOs, does not allow the legacy company to change. Well, you just have a new company come and replace the legacy, and so the legacy company has to die if it's not allowed to evolve. This is what happened to Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines, the CEO sees the danger, sees the problem, wants to evolve, makes a deal, and the structure, the inertia, does not allow that deal, and thus the company dies. This is, I think, what's going to happen to a lot of legacy companies, a lot of legacy businesses. Now, back to the airlines. Let me tell you more about the airlines. Don't get me wrong, right? I would never invest in an airline. This is not a sector I want to be invested in. I know someone in the comment section told me that I was delusional thinking about supersonic flight, but I'm working on a video in Cafe Wood right now. Supersonic technology is a real technology. We might have very quick flights. There will be a point where the airline business will be disrupted, and it will be disrupted on both ends. It will be disrupted by very high speed travel, and a lot of startups are working on new Concorde-like flights, like hypersonic flight. That's going to be one aspect. And of course, self-driving cars, right? If your car is self-driving, all of a sudden driving 10 hours to go somewhere else is not as daunting, because you don't have to drive. You just play a video game for 10 hours and then you're there, right? You have a lot of people who don't want to drive 10 hours. That's why airlines still thrive in many instances. So they'll be attacked on both sides. Disruption is one of the reasons why I would not touch airlines, but also airlines are not allowed to compete. It's almost like a utility. There's too much regulation. You can't compete. And I'm just going to quote Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett, airlines, in theory, they have a moat, right? Those routes, those slots at airports between point A and point B, these are theoretically moats. But it's one of the only industry, like they say, this is funny, where you put $1 in and you get 60 cents back, right? It's not supposed to work like that. You're supposed to put $1 in and you get $1.80 or $1.90 back. That's a good profit. That's a good gross profit. That's a good margin for a business. If you put $1 back, you get 60 cents back. Well, that's a bad business. This is another quote that I love from the Buffett Munger duo, which is, we have an emergency hotline number for whenever we have the urge to buy an airline. In other words, they've thought about it many times, but they keep staying away from that business. And this is also a business that, not only mergers are blocked in that business, but they also are easy targets for taxation. And there's other problems. Like, there's a lot of regulation, for example. So, for example, one of the problems that some of these airlines are facing is customers abusing the airport wheelchair service. And the problem is, from what I look, it costs about $40 to provide assistance with a wheelchair. And of course, when you're a low-cost airline, if you have just 10 people in a plane that need a wheelchair, that could be your entire profit margin being gone right there. That's how expensive this could be, because these companies operate on razor thin margins. And you have other problems, like this is an example, like, miniature horses allowed as service animals on airplanes. So you may remember that. That was another issue with airlines, and what kind of animal are you allowed to bring on the airplane. And of course, that creates tremendous cost, tremendous complication. Imagine having to bring a horse on a plane. It creates complications. Of course, these are laws. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying it doesn't make for a lot of profitability. That's it. It makes it harder to be profitable in these instances, and so that is the reason why airlines like Spirit are struggling. So, and this is the last point, right? And this is more of a macro point, and I want to make this point this is not about investing. This is one final point about inflation, which is, of course, when we have these that's why I don't like the CPI, right? The CPI is kind of, saying, oh, this is the costs, and the costs are going up for the average household and the average consumer and what the average consumer buys. And the CPI, in my view, it doesn't take into account the fact that cheap options, inexpensive options, are disappearing in the United States at a very, very quick pace. Like it's becoming tougher and tougher to find a cheap option, and of course the average consumer, they're gonna want a good price to quality ratio. You're gonna want the best bang for your buck, as you say, if you're the average consumer. But there's clear cases, like when you're starting out in life, you want to have those cheap options available, and those cheap options are becoming less and less available. And Spirit, it actually makes me upset, even personally, because I used to fly Spirit a lot in my 20s. I used to love Spirit, and I was doing Spirit. Whenever I was flying Spirit, I would always take the big front seat, so you could pay an extra $50, and then you would get the big front seat. And the big front seat was actually a business class seat. I mean, looked very much like a business class seat to me, and it was cheaper than coach on United. And I just have great memories flying the big front seat on Spirit, and it's like, so today I fly mostly Southwest, but Southwest is more expensive. Spirit was the only true European style low-cost airline option in the US, and now that truly true European style low-cost option in the US is going away, and so how is that going to be reflected in the CPI, right? It's not. It's likely not. It's just like the dollar store. It's like, yeah, you people claim, oh, inflation is only 7%, 8%, except if you shopped at the dollar store last year, you noticed the dollar tree, the prices moved from $1 to $1.25, so it was 25% for you, that inflation. So the dollar stores essentially don't exist anymore in the US, because if you go to the dollar tree now, you have a $3 item and a $5 item, and it's not a dollar store anymore. So dollar stores are gone. European-style low-cost airlines are gone. One thing that is clearly out is affordable apartments, which if you're starting out in life, today if you want to buy an apartment, it's only luxury apartments. One thing that sort of annoys me, I don't know how to say that, but it's how big American homes are in the US. Like I see homes in France. I would not know how to find a small home, like a European home in the US. Like I don't know how to do it. Like I have no idea how to do it. Homes are so big. Home builders want to build big houses. It's big, and of course that's a big problem, because insurance is more expensive, taxes are more expensive. There's a general running out of low cost option. Running a low cost business is getting tougher and tougher. So the scarcity of low-cost options in the USA is drying up, and I think it's a problem, and it matters a lot if you're starting out in life, and it's a bigger problem if you're starting out in life. And did we really need to have Spirit go bankrupt? If you're investing in one of the other airlines, you're very happy right now, but probably didn't. And I'm invested in HIMSS. I'm invested in Amazon. These companies are going to benefit from these government actions. I don't really know what to say, but it's just sad. I just think it's sad that Spirit is going out, and there's nothing we can do. It's just the way it works, and that's going to benefit a lot of innovative new companies who are not held back by these legacy frames of thinking. A lot of companies I invest in, I cover on the channel, are not held back by this old world, and this is also one of the chief reasons for investing in smaller, high growth companies. Is that big reason. So anyways, this was not investment advice, no financial advice of any kind. This is just entertainment. Please please subscribe, follow me on X, follow me on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.